What's up, fam? Just Ramon here. Look, I know that this video is going to be kind of choppy, is because I just learned that there's certain words that I'm not allowed to say. So my editor, he chopped this video up because he said I said like the words that I'm not about to say in almost every sentence. But the unedited version of these videos are coming out. So my bad. But here's what I got for part two. If you want to get we'll have the unedited version out real soon. So prison politics versus street politics. So like the street code is one thing, but one thing. Oh, all right. Oh, this is a deep subject right here, because if you have not been involved in the criminal world, you would not understand this. If you've not been involved in prison, you will not understand this. But if you've been involved in both, you know that there is a difference between the street code and the prison code. There's a different set of values, there's a different set of morals, there's a different set of norms, and our views. Like, it's a whole different mindset. It's a city within a city. The street mentality is totally different than the John Q. Public. we we it's a whole different animal, man. Like, 'cause we got a whole different code, we got a whole different set of morals, we got a whole different set of values, because we 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 ain't relying. The system ain't for us. I was like, when you're in the street life, your whole attitude, and you don't have a political view, or if you do, it's not the same as somebody that's a civilian, right? When I was in the streets, man, I didn't think about politics, and my only thing was, like I said before, it was cops and robbers. Their job is to catch me. My job is not to let them. The mentality, especially towards the man, that's what we call the man. Government, the police, FBI. Um, like the only time they came around was when it was a problem. It wasn't like we never. And I, my mama has. I've never seen my mother call the police. Not one time. I've never known anybody in my family to call the police. So that was not a thing. We don't, like, because, like we grew up in the streets, man. I grew up in the hood, and the police is not to be trusted. When we see something happen, our first instinct isn't to call 911. It's like, let me get the heck away from here before the police get here and they get to question me. And if they do question me, I don't know nothing. I ain't see nothing. I ain't saying nothing. That's what we was at. The system is not for a street cat. It is not. And we try our best to avoid it. Now, there was a time when going to prison was like a badge of honor, or a rite of, I won't say a badge of honor, but a rite of passage in the street life. And you became legit when they know that you went to prison. You did a crime. You did your time. You kept your mouth shut. You ain't say nothing to nobody. You ain't snitch on nobody. So that's where the politics came in right there. It's like, man, he's a stand-up dude. He's straight, man. He's a good dude. You can trust him, right? To the extent that you can trust a criminal. And I just went in, did my time. I came out. Now I guess I made my bones. Prison politics is more structured. It's way more structured, because there are just certain things. Like, when you go into prison, the first thing they're going to tell you, man, keep your mouth shut. Mind your own business. That's the first thing. Mind your own business. I don't care what you see. If it ain't got nothing to do with you directly, stay out of it. Don't say nothing to nobody about it. Just keep it moving. In the United States, we have state prison system, and then we have a federal prison system. So in the state prison system, the politics is centered around what city you from, right? So if you're from, let's just use Ohio. So in Ohio, the prison system is based on people that are from Cincinnati, people that are from Columbus, Cleveland, Youngstown, Toledo. So pretty much Akron, Canton. wherever you're from, that's the crew that you hang with, and each crew has different type of politics. But the core principle is mind your business, don't get in no mess, don't gamble on butt, meaning like money, have your money. If you're gonna gamble, don't get in debt and put everybody in jeopardy, right? And no sex cases, like you can't or we call them tree jumpers at the time, jumping out of trees on women. So like those are all no-nos. Prison politics, no. You can't be a thief. Thieves get their head split open. Everybody know that term, snitches get stitches. And I need to be clear that is not the code on the street. As it is way more prevalent about snitching in prison than it is on the street, right? That's what so because snitches get stitches. Then the federal system is based on region, what state you're from. So all the people from Ohio, all the people from Texas, Pennsylvania, California, wherever state you're from, that's where it comes from. And the politics is much different, and it's the federal prison system was way more political as far as how you operated. Like my first interaction with the politics of federal prison was I used to sell cigarettes. I didn't smoke, so I would buy cigarettes and I would sell them 2-for-1s. Like you get a cigarette from me or you get a pack from me, you give me 2 packs back or 2 cigarettes back. So this guy, he had got some cigarettes from me and he owed me like a few packs of cigarettes and he didn't pay me. Now, I know state politics is like, if you don't pay me, if you owe me some money, you don't pay me and I'll let it go, then everybody that comes get something from me is going to be taking it from me. So prison politics dictate that if you don't pay me my money, now I got to put my hands on you to make an example of you, so the next person to know that if I don't pay him, this is what's going to happen. So when he didn't pay me my money, I hit him with a crispy like 3-piece and knocked him out. Split his chin open, right? Well, about an hour later, no, not even that, probably about 15 minutes later, because I woke him up and got him out of the cell. And then these 2 white dudes come up to me, and they both Aryan brothers. I didn't even know what Aryan brothers like. I was kind of like, whoa. And they came up to me and they told me straight up, like, dude, you can't put your hands on the white boys in here. And I was like, what? And then I was like, he owed me. They was like, yeah, but you can't touch no white boy. Like the races don't mix like that. We don't operate like. If you got a problem with one of the white dudes in here, you come to us. And I was like, whoa. And I told him, he was like, here, they gave me double of what he owed me. Okay. That's when I knew that prison politics and played it different. It was a factor on how you operated, how you moved, what you said, who you did it to, what you did. Like, and then I realized that prison politics was deep and it was real. It was real. And now you got to operate under the auspice of knowing what is politically correct in prison. Because I did so long in prison, I was able to see the 2 different eras, right? So there was 2 different eras, and I realized this is what really opened my eyes to how the prison population is dictated by the government. When I first got arrested, the first few times that I went to prison, it was the crack era, right? The majority of prisons were probably 85% minorities, black and brown. But I'm just gonna say black, but there wasn't that many. It was way more black people. Fast forward to the opioid epidemic, and I remember this is distinctly what opened my eyes. This situation, I was at CRC, which is Correctional Reception Center, and it's where everybody everybody in the southern region of Ohio, whenever you go to catch a felony and you get a prison number, you got to go through there to get that number. Well, I was standing in the dining hall and I seen all of these white dudes. I'm like, where the heck is like the black people? So I literally stood and counted 100 people, right? And out of those 100 people, I was like, 76 of them were white. And I was like, wait a minute. So I called a friend of mine, and now I'm learning about Google, right? And I said, hey, can you Google something for me? And she was like, what? I said, look up the prison population race-wise in CRC. And she came back to me and she said it was 76%, 75% white. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, but then I remembered that black people don't really do opioids. We don't do pills, like not like get in trouble for like opiate. Like I never really know any black people that got in trouble for opioid. I see that it's not necessarily quote unquote a crack law; it's a drug law, and because opioid is considered a drug, now the same laws that got all the black people locked up are the same ones getting the white people locked up, and these are poor. Not I was poor because there's a lot of white people getting locked up. And then this is where the change came in. Those same laws that got all those white people locked up, now they're inside a prison, but there's things happening like when it was a minority of them in prison, the white dudes caught the blues in prison. That was like, you didn't want to go to prison as a white boy because they talk about the big bald-headed black dude, man. Don't get caught with the big bald-headed black dude. And I've seen a lot of white dudes get punished. A lot of stuff they were getting extorted. Just a lot of stuff. So now they start passing these laws and these rules to help get the white people out of prison faster. And I'm like, what is, they started judicial release. Then they started having drug court. And so instead of you going to prison for a drug, you go to drug court and they put you in a rehab center. So now I'm realizing that the politics is playing a big role in prison, a big role. The laws, you have to understand the laws. If you didn't understand how the government works, who makes the laws? So that was my first thing. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, how did this happen? Who made this? Like, who made the laws? Who made the policies? And then I realized that like these politicians. And then like at the height of it, Obama happens. that changed the game. And I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but what like the difference between politics now is about class. It's not about race. It's more class because there's some people like the white people, like lower income white people are like, wait a minute, like we're being dogged too. And so that's much of a movement. With Obama, it was much different because he was all inclusive. But at the same time, he's a black man. And he's, I can identify with Obama because he's very smart. He's very charismatic. He's well spoken, and he was like, man, he's a black dude, and he was black. You could tell he was black. He give the bro handshake, and be like, what's up, and he was going to the hoods, and rappers was supporting him, and he was supporting rappers, but at the same time, he's got to be political. So, and he changed the way that I thought about politics. I started paying attention to politics and policies when Obama ran, because now I'm looking at somebody like me that's representing the country. And I started paying attention to politics and what exactly, who are the Democrats and who are the Republicans? And I started learning about politics and learning about policies and what elections and like local elections and why certain people are in office and judges and how to it's just, I started really paying attention to the political system and the political apparatus. And then here I am in prison, and so we got the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, right? And at the time, remember I told you my introduction to government was in high school, and I knew about the 3 different branches, but I didn't know the power that those 3 have and how it's supposed to be checks and balances. Like so one branch can't do the other one. So you got the executive branch who enforces the laws, right? And you got the legislative branch who writes the laws, and then you got the judicial branch who governs the laws, who interprets the laws, right? And those three things, right? I'm in prison, so I'm a part of all of that whole thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, oh man, this is way more intricate than I thought, and it's corrupt too. But then I started learning about the election process, and my whole political view changed in prison because of Obama. Man, yeah, politics, man. Even though I'm a firm believer that we should be involved in politics because I think that local elections, like when we have local elections, those local leaders that we've elected, they are the ones who go on to be senators and representatives, and then from there they go to to Congress, and then from there there's the ones who are elected president, the district attorneys and the attorney generals, and so if we don't start making local decisions and paying attention. And I know a lot of people say that their vote don't count, man, but it does, man. They're like, people have won elections on less than 10 votes. Trump, man, I ain't mad at him because, they told him, he was like, you want me to do my taxes? You want me to reveal my taxes and this? And he said, don't be mad at me because I'm using the law. Change the law. Right? And so I mean, he's just playing the game, man. Mad at him. And all the other presidents did the same thing. They were just more covert with it. He's more overt. He just does it out in your face and it was like, yep, I did that. Now what? There's a statement that says power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So even Obama, who probably went in naive as to what actual politics, like the presidential politics and the politics of the situation. Once he got in there, I believe that the system chewed him up just like it chewed everybody else up. I mean, he did some good. I'm sure he did. He did some good, and it corrupted him. I believe that he was corrupted just like everybody else that came through that has all been corrupted. Because you know why? We're human, and because we're human, it's that human factor is always going to play a thing, and we're always coerced, and we're always going to be influenced by powers and entities outside of us, man. And so I think the system is designed to do what it does, man, and that's to make the rich rich and the poor poorer. Coming out of prison, the one thing that I was eager to do was vote. I wanted to vote because the last time, the first and only time that I voted was when I was 18. I voted for Jesse Jackson. I never voted again until 2021. All right, and so I knew that my vote counted, and that I learned the history about voting, and that many people have died and suffered to give me the right to vote, and even being a felon to have the right to vote, because some states don't even allow felons to vote, which is crazy. Also, coming out, I had a burning passion for criminal justice reform and for prison reform, because I say that our criminal justice system is flawed, and it's flawed from the top down. So that means that, like, from the president on down, the criminal justice system is flawed. And the prison system is doubly flawed because it's corrupt, and it's not about correction or rehabilitation anymore. It's all about the dollar bill, the almighty dollar, and because of that, my political stance is because I believe that we should have prison reform, and I think that we should have some changes that should be made, and only way that can happen is through vote and through advocacy and through knowledge. We have to start, and I'm staunch about telling, hey man, what do you think about voting? And you know how many people I've met that say that they don't vote because their vote don't count. And I said, well, then why are you complaining? If your vote don't count and you, but you don't like how much money they're taking out of your check, or how much food prices is, or how much gas is, or why is this person doing that in politics? If you don't vote, then you don't have no right to say. You have no say so. You have no right to complain. So politically, I am more involved because I know that the more people, because that's how, for give you an example, that's how Obama got elected, is because people were informed, right? And there was a movement, there was a grassroots movement for him, and people started talking about politics. So one of the things that I'm an advocate for is talking about politics, because they tell you, oh, don't ever just discuss religion and politics with people, and people like, but I believe that if we have open dialogue and we have a reasonable conversation without being passionate, because you can talk to me about anything and you can tell me your political beliefs. That doesn't mean that I have to have your political beliefs. And just because I got a different set of political beliefs than you do, don't, and we having a conversation, I'm not trying to change your political beliefs. All I'm trying to do is get an understanding. You let me understand where you're coming from, and then I'll let you understand where I'm coming from, and we can agree to disagree. But at least we had a decent dialogue about it, man. Because if we can have conversations, real conversations about politics, then we can make a change, because now we'll understand where each other come from. It's not about changing people's minds. It's just about, and especially here in America, the government is by the people, for the people, right? And if the people are at each, that's why the government they keep us at each other so we don't focus on them. So my thing is to pull people together from all different walks of life. And so we can have real conversation, real dialogue, and we can start instituting real change when it comes to politics. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification button. Remember, God loves you, so do I. Peace. One love.